con la chitarra in mano, lasciatemi cantare, sono un italiano. Buongiorno Italia, gli spaghetti al dente, e un partigiano come presidente, con l'autoradio sempre nella mano destra, un canarino sopra la finestra. Buongiorno Italia con i tuoi artisti, con troppa America sui manifesti, con le canzoni, con amore, con il cuore, con più donne, sempre meno suore. Buongiorno Italia, buongiorno Maria, con gli occhi pieni di malinconia. Buongiorno Dio, sai che ci sei cantare.
La propria mezzo campo a difendere e un Milan invece Giroud in area, si gira sinistro, rete, ha raddoppiato il Milan al 33esimo minuto nel corso della ripresa, cambia ancora il parziale a San Siro, gol capolavoro di Olivier Giroud, spalle alla porta in area di rigore, si libera sul piede sinistro, manda a vuoto l'intervento del difensore dell'Inter e piazza il suo sinistro nell'angolino più lontano lì.
Buongiorno, pomeriggio, buonasera fellow Milanisti and Italians, and today I am joined by two very special co-hosts. It is the chaps from Rosanero Network, Alex and Andrea. How you doing, gents?
Good, yeah, thanks for having
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having us on.
No problem.
Yeah, great to be on. Really appreciate it. A reasonable time as well, which is unusual for the podcast Andrea and I record. But yeah, just happy to be here.
Yeah, so we can have the podcast, then we can have our Sunday lunches, right? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Guys, Gino will be joining us later. He's on Napoletano time, so he'll be here as soon as he can. But he's at the moment. Guys, just for the listeners, this is Andrea and Alex. They're from the Rosanero Network. They have a great podcast, all centric around Palermo, of course, and Italy. Alex, I can see they're sporting a fantastic Italy top. And of course, Andrea with his Palermo background. And I've obviously gone for it with my away Palermo shirt as well, just to kind of join in. So look, guys, today we're going to talk all things Azzuri. We're going to talk a little bit about Palermo. We're going to talk a little bit about Milan. But before we get into any of that, why don't we just hear from you two? Tell us about your cultural backgrounds, how you got into podcasting. Go for it, guys.
So I started the podcast last year. I've been running my Twitter account for the past 3 years now. We started video episodes earlier this year, a couple months ago. Alex joined as a permanent co-host after a guest appearance last year. And yeah, it's been going really well.
Amazing. And what, so Palermo, it's a niche team in the UK. What draws you to that then?
Well, so my dad was from Palermo and he got me into football. It's sort of in the mid-2000s when we had players like Edinson Cavani, Piccoli, players like that, Pastore, back when we were in the Europa League. So it was a great place to start, probably the peak of Palermo's history at that point. And yeah, I've been, I would say, a Palermo fan for about 20 years now.
And Alex, what about you?
So I started my I've been watching football since I was about 3 years old, or about 2 years old. My first game that I ever watched, according to my uncles, was the 2006 World Cup final. So I think I've been on a bit of a love journey for football ever since then. But yeah, Palermo has always been in my heart. My uncles always supported the club. But funnily enough, my family on my Sicilian side, since I'm half Sicilian, half Calabrese, they all originally were from Palermo, but migrated towards Catania, but stayed supporting Palermo as well. So I have a bit of soft spots for, Catania and Messina and all those teams. But, Palermo has always been sort of my one true love when it comes to Italian football.
Nice. So like, so my family come from Galtanisetta, which is like in the middle, and a little town called Mossomele. So 3 of my grandparents are from there, and one of them is from a town about 10 miles away from there. So when it comes to Sicily and all things Sicilian, I'm quite sort of ready for it. You could call me a bit of a United fan living in the south, if you really want to go that way in terms of Milan and the fact that I'm Sicilian. So that's fine. I don't mind that. And we are, of course, Milan fans, me and Gino, and I'm a massive Milan fan. I've been a Milan fan since I was probably about 6, and that's something to do with my dad as well, funny enough. My papa, who I think he used to say to me there were two kind of squares in his hometown. One was all Inter, one was all Milan. His brother would play in the Inter one, so he was Inter, and he would play in the Milan one, so he was Milan. But of course, Palermo is always there in the background. And the amount of times we've been on holiday to Sicily, we've landed in Palermo, we've gone past Lorenzo Barbera. I remember having, I think it was a restaurant not far away, and we had like grilled octopus, like, and all that sort of stuff. So Palermo was really in my heart, and I've loved Palermo. And funny you should mention that Europa League point, Andrea. I remember one year we went down to Italy, and my dad bought like a dodgy like Sky package. I don't know if you ever did that, with the little black box and the little card you could put in and hook up to your TV, right? So we had all of Serie A and Serie B, and that was the season that Palermo were promoted, because if I'm not wrong, Serie A was going to go from 18 to 20 teams, and there was a big chance for lots of teams to be promoted, and Palermo was promoted that year. And I remember the Fabio Grosso, I think it was Luca Toni played with them in Serie B. I remember who was the captain, bald guy, Eugenio Corini.
Yeah.
So I remember all that, watching them go through Serie B into Serie A was amazing. I think they went up with, was it with Catania, and then Messina was after, or was Catania Messina after Palermo went up? I couldn't remember.
I think we went up with
I have a
Catania,
feeling like Messina was before.
I can't remember. I know at one point all three were in Serie A.
That's right.
Which was pretty impressive. So yeah, like when it comes to Palermo, it's definitely I wouldn't want to say second team, but pretty much is. I have a shirt, it's just special team, special place. And I remember Italy playing in the Lorenzo Barbera loads of times as well, which is great. So so look, I've kind of gone off on one there, but that's how it works. So look, I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to go straight into start talking about the Azzurri, or do you want to do anything slightly different?
Yeah, the Azzurri is the hot topic right now, so let's get into that.
All right, let's go in there. So look, first thing on the agenda for the listeners, I've got a quote up of Gattuso on Chiesa. All players are different. He didn't feel up to it. He went back home, and I have to accept that. If a player tells me he's not feeling well and is convinced of that, it's useless to keep insisting. Gents, what's your take on this Federico Chiesa debacle with the Azzurri at the moment? It's a little bit hot and cold. What do you think on this?
Well, this is something we've been seeing all season with Chiesa. I mean, he's obviously had a history of injury problems since his ACL just after the Euro win. Really hindered his potential. But this season, obviously Liverpool not giving him the minutes that he probably deserves. But yeah, he's. I don't think he's played a game for Italy this season. In the past year, it's a shame because he really was one of Italy's best attackers. But at this point, I mean, I don't think he's injured at the moment. I've not seen anything about any injuries. I know that he's turned down the national team because of a lack of fitness, which earlier in the season I understood. But at this point now, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to see Chiesa play for Italy again, because when you get the call, you need to answer it. And he was in the squad. He was called up. He was fit to play. But he's turned it down again at such an important time for Italy as well. And it makes me think, do I want to see this guy at the World Cup, even if he is one of the better attackers? He hasn't played much this season again. And there are other players who I feel are more deserving. I know he's injured at the moment, but Zaccagni, for example, I would absolutely want to see him at the World Cup because he has been playing well this season. He's always there for Italy when he can be. And I can't really name another player who, for pretty much any national team really, that has consistently turned down the national team over the course of a year. It bewilders me.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, look, being Australian, this is something that I'm quite sort of familiar with, unfortunately, in terms of players turning down national team call-ups. But it's really shocking to see it in the case of Italy. This is a country that, we all know has struggled when it comes to performing in these big games and, really being able to sort of get over in those defining moments. And I think we can all remember back in 2021 with the Euros, how fantastic Federico was. There were people genuinely saying he was a top 5 forward in the world. And I think on that form, it's hard to say he wasn't. But I think it's fair to say as well that this Liverpool move has derailed his career in a big way. And I think that's definitely not helpful, especially for, the prospect that he was and how important that he was in that sort of national team setup. Look, obviously the formation and the role he would have played has definitely changed over the last sort of year or so, or definitely at least since Gattuso's come in. But it's very, very difficult to say that he wouldn't have had a real effect on this team in terms of how effective we've been in attack and how well we could have broken through defensive lines if he was in the squad. And if it does come out and it is true that, he was fully fit and, turned us down in order to help out with his Liverpool form or to make sure he wasn't injured for his Liverpool return, I'm absolutely in Andrea's boat here. I don't think I'd want to see him called up to the World Cup squad if we did make it. Zaccagni, a perfect example of someone who I think probably is more deserving of that role if he's fit in time. And look, there are plenty of other young players around Serie A. Let's not forget, plenty of young players that could probably use that shine, use that spot, and plenty of experienced players as well that could, make a good account of themselves in that second striker role, other than Federico Chiesa, who, like to say again, if this does come out that he has turned us down, I don't want to see him in the national team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you both more there. I think you just don't call it down. If you're fit and healthy and you can play, and you haven't played all season as well, you've had snippets. This is probably not only just a great chance to actually play, but also play with some pride. And you don't turn down the Italian national team, especially when you've won a Euro with it. I don't understand the logic. I hope that there's something bigger or something, that we don't know behind it all. But I cannot get my head around it. Why would you're called up, like you said, you're fit and healthy. You have started to get going at Liverpool, though it's in snippets, although it's in little moments. And then you get the chance to play for your national team and you don't take it. It's odd. Is it competition? Keane and Retegui, they're probably going to start most games. Does it involve changing the entire formation to fit Chiesa in? I don't think it has to, but it could do. I'm not sure. And if Gattuso calls you up, Gattuso's not like he doesn't rest on his laurels, does he? If he thinks you're worth taking, he'll take you. So again, just strange situation. I was a little bit put out actually when I read it, because I thought, well, great, this is a great chance for Chiesa to play. And like you, I'm thinking, if you're not good enough now, you ain't coming to. If we do qualify for the World Cup, you ain't coming. Why should you come to the World Cup over another player who's played all season and who snapped his hands off when he had the chance to play? So I think there's something in there about moral. I think there's something in there about, is there something bigger going on? But again, how do you call it down? I don't know. I think I would, if I was playing football and the Italy national team called me, I'd be there if I had to walk there, let alone get through. So interesting. Right, cool. Thank you for that, gents. So next team, just the starting formation. So Gattuso sent this team out to play against Northern Ireland. So obviously we had Donnarumma in goal. I think that kind of picks itself. Even if Vicario, Mere, everyone is in form. You've got Gianluca Mancini, interesting. Bastoni and Calafiori. Then you've got Politano, Barella, Locatelli, Tonali, DiMarco, Keane and Retegui. If we go with Alex first. Alex, what are you thinking on this starting formation when you first see it?
Look, I think that for what we had, this is probably the best case scenario. I definitely would have thought that we would have made a couple of picks. One of the big shockers for me was the fact that we didn't even call up Michael Coyote. And I was very frustrated with that decision. And I took it upon myself to, in the first half, to count the amount of throw-in opportunities that we would have had from that sort of tight pocket where the 18-yard box that could have been potential goal-scoring opportunities. And there were five. There were five that were essentially right on the byline, his best area for Brentford when it comes to taking throw-ins. And instead we had Gianluca Mancini up taking the throw-ins, and he got confused, tried to take a long throw-in and couldn't beat the first man. It was a shambles. Look, for what we had, I understand what Gattuso was going for here. DiMarco is just that person that's going to come in at the back post and sort of attack, that sort of winger fullback hybrid. You need him in the squad 100%. We don't have anyone in the national team that can play that role as effectively as he can. The back three I had no issue with. I feel like some people were calling for Scalvini. Look, I understand that, but at the same time, you got to sort of think about maybe necessarily having that extra ball playing center back wasn't really needed when you already have someone like Bastoni, when you have Calafiori as well. You probably just needed someone who was a bit more experienced. So I'm fine with Mancini there. A lot of people were upset that I saw with Palestra not starting as well. I don't think it would have been the right game for him. It's his first national team call-up. Politano's experienced. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of having Politano off of the right wing-back spot, but he played absolutely fine. I thought he did well to sort of drift inside on numerous occasions. He was putting good balls into the back post for DiMarco. And look, let's not forget, it was his ball to the back post and then the knock back across the box that led to our first goal for Tonali. So realistically, I don't have anything to complain about for the lineup. I think it was essentially what we were expecting. I know a lot of people wanted Pio Esposito to start as well. Once again, I just don't think it was the type of game for him. Ireland, or Northern Ireland at least, have a very sort of physical backline. I feel like Pio Esposito is best when he can sort of use his physicality a little bit more. And to be fair, against Bosnia, when they are going to have more physical defenders, maybe you do want to give them a try, allow Moise Kean to play a little deeper, maybe allow him to sort of hold up that ball a little more. It is a valuable option, but, I think Gattuso got it spot on with his starting 11 picks. Nothing for me to complain about at all.
And Joe, what do you think?
The first thing that jumps out to me is the fact that Bastoni's playing in the middle, which he doesn't normally do, obviously, normally on the left side so he can advance forward. But he's been pushed into the middle so that we can have Calafiori on the left. And Calafiori had a good game, a very good game, but Bastoni definitely looked a bit out of place. And as we can see, he picked up the yellow card, got substituted off early as well. Definitely didn't look himself. A back three I've wanted to see for a long time is Scalvini, Bastoni and Calafiori. If Bastoni can adjust to that central centre-back position, I think he does need a bit more time there to fully adjust. But I can understand the inclusion of Mancini, as Alex said. The experience is needed, especially in an important game like this. But that being said, I definitely think we should have started Palestra over Politano. I think he's very deserving. If you look at his season, he's been incredible. And Politano, I know he has recently been playing as a right wing back and not doing too badly for Napoli. I know he's got a couple of goals and assists in his last few games from that position. But I don't think he has the defensive qualities that a right wing back should need. In the modern game, you've got to be as good at attacking as you have to be at defending in that position. And there were a few times where we did look a bit exposed on his side defensively. But yeah, attacking, he was pretty good. He put some good balls into the box, so I can't complain about him too much. The midfield three, I didn't want to see Barella start, as hot a take as that may be. I know he's one of the best Italian players, or at least has been over the years. Of course, AC Milan fan agrees Barella should be there. But I think out of the midfield three, Locatelli played really well, just in front of the defenders, played some really good balls forward, defended really well. Tonali was incredible, obviously, with the goal and assist. But Barella, I think, was the weakest of the three. I don't know what's going on with him this season. I think maybe his mileage is catching up to him now in his late 20s. Played a lot of games, started as a first-team player as a teenager. And I think, with the way football is now and how many games people have to play, we do see a lot of players, especially players like Barella, who cover a lot of ground, sort of slow down as early as their late 20s. And we're seeing that with Barella. I don't think he's had a good performance for Italy this season. And it's been strange to see. I wanted to see a youngster like Pisilli start in his place. But then you could argue, we need the experienced players. Yeah. As far as the two strikers goes, Kean and Retegui, I think under Gattuso, that's been the most solid strike partnership, as much as people want to see Pio Esposito, and he did do well when he came on. And in hindsight, it looks like Pio should have started because Retegui didn't have the best game. But I think Retegui's been brilliant for Italy. A lot of goals and assists, especially under Gattuso. Didn't have the best game against Northern Ireland. Maybe we see Pio start in the next game, but I can't argue too much with picking Kean and Retegui. And we got the result. People can complain, this player should have played, that player should have played, but we got the result we needed. It was a clean sheet. We shut them out completely at the back. We attacked quite well, created some good chances. The first half wasn't great, but I think overall it was pretty good. It was a solid lineup we could see here. That's a good group of players. And we got the result we needed.
Right, before I give you my take, I'm just going to let Dilgino in, who is finally here. I can see him. Hey, here he is. Hello, mate.
Hello. Apologies, everyone. The lad in Australia manages to make it on, and I don't. So it's just like, there we go.
Right, mate. We're just talking about Italy. We're just giving our takes on. We talked about Chiesa. We're just giving our takes on starting formation. So I'll quickly give you mine, and then Gino, I'll let you go for it. So I think for me, there's a few things. Andre, you summed it up perfectly when you said Barella covers a lot of ground. He does cover a lot of the ground. He's on the ground a lot, so I'm not surprised. But that's just my Milan take. So there you go. Look, Donnarumma picks himself. There is no better Italian keeper right now, in form or out of form. There just isn't. And I have a personal agenda against Mancini. I can't stand the sight of his face. I think I've never seen a player with such low quality, with the arrogance that he has. I guess he's one of those players that if he plays for your club, you absolutely adore him. If he doesn't, you can't stand him. And unfortunately, that's kind of where I am. I think the reason why he starts is because he's right-footed, I guess, and the other two are both left-footed. I said to Gino last week, I would love to see Buongiorno, Calafiore and Bastoni in that back three, but they're all left-footed players, and it just won't work. So I think you're right. It's Scalvini or it's Mancini, and he's gone for Mancini, which makes perfect sense. The three in midfield, again, it kind of is what we've got. Locatelli seems to be in decent form this season. Tonali is Tonali. I'll never forgive Fulani for selling him. I'll never forgive any of them for what they did, but that's what it is. And then Barella, like we said, look, he's a fish out of water. He's a dolphin jumping up around. He's on the floor constantly. He's diving. His hair is receding. He's everything you can think about that you want to say about him. But in the midfield three in Italy, he's going to always start, unfortunately, until he really F's it up. Politano is what it is. Fine. DeMarco, no one else is going to get in that spot over DeMarco in any Italy team. Me and Gino also said we would have liked to have seen Bartesaghi called up for Italy, even if he didn't start, just to experience it. But he went and had an absolute blinder for the under-21s, which we knew he would. So great. And like you said, Keenan Retegui, who else? I mean, I don't rate Scamacca, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Esposito, yeah, great. I think the Indetti still need to chill out a little bit. He scored a couple of decent goals. Galma, he's like 21, 22. It's going to take some time, but yes, eventually I think he can be that bomber. That's my take. Gino, go for it, mate. Stage is yours. What do you think of this starting formation? And anything you want to kind of add on Chiesa where you didn't get a chance?
Okay, I didn't hear anything about the Chiesa stuff before, so apologies if I'm already covering ground. Raise your hands if I am. But essentially, I mean, one of my biggest things about the whole Chiesa situation is I am more worried about him mentally. That's my biggest worry, okay? My biggest concern. And any listener of this podcast knows, obviously, about myself and where I've been mentally over the last few years. So I really sympathize and empathize with this situation, right? If he's turning around and saying, I don't feel up to the task, I actually would rather have him saying, I don't feel up to the task, rather than taking the place of somebody who does feel up to the task. Okay, number one, the most important thing is that he gets himself right. And then it's about what's right for Italy. Yeah. So I do worry about that. This whole thing that, he said no before in the past, he's allowed to. He's not doing anything wrong.
Completely different to all three of our takes. Brilliant. That's good.
All right. Okay. Well, I didn't hear it.
That's good.
But he's allowed to. If he doesn't feel right, if he's going to get onto the pitch and have an absolute panic attack because the ball's coming at him, I'm sorry. I don't want you there. I don't want you there because I don't want you thinking, oh my God, I'm going to absolutely now F this up. I want you more being like, do you know what? This wasn't for me. How many Brazilian footballers have absolutely hated playing football and yet made national teams, won World Cups, and yet they've hated playing football. Yeah. And then when they leave football, they're an absolute state, aren't they? They're not right. You don't want that happening to Chiesa. You just don't want it happening to Chiesa. Like his dad, he is blessed with absolute bangers, isn't he? So he doesn't score a simple tap in. He will hit it from 40 yards and it will somehow do something. So that's me on the Chiesa thing. I just think, look, if you don't feel up to it, don't be part of it. Take yourself out of the situation. But then equally, don't let the media narrative and don't let this narrative of we need Chiesa to be the overriding thing, right? There are other players. There are other players that will fill that role. So that's my thing on Chiesa. This starting lineup, I mean, I heard half of what Andrea was saying, so I've now heard what you've said. I mean, yeah, Mancini for me at the back, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't. It's like you look at him and you just know that there's a red card somewhere. Grattiamoci. Let's touch ourselves here. That doesn't happen. Oh, you two as well. You don't think you two as... Come on, Alex, Andrea. Come on, grattiamoci. Bravi. Okay, so they're all doing it. So So the point is, it's like I look at him and I'm going, oh God. But yet, all right, it was only Northern Ireland. Well, they were big lads. And he was doing all right. He managed to handle himself pretty well. Bastoni's Bastoni, Calafiori's Calafiori. At some point, I saw Calafiori acting as the number 10. So again, like I'm like, does anybody know? Does he know where he plays after the? But then you go, yeah, but look at him. He's like the identikit of an Italian defender. Long hair, good looks, good at the long pass. I do agree with what Andrea was saying about Politano. I would have preferred to have seen. Who did you say? Is it
Palestra?
Palestra, yeah. Probably would have preferred to have seen Palestra, but Politano was doing what Politano was doing. What was frustrating about the Politano-Mancini thing was there would be times Politano would cut in, Mancini would do the overlap for numerical, but then he wouldn't lay it off to Mancini for the cross. So, like, you've got to both be aware. And how many times have we seen Politano in Serie A where he does that cut in and he does that kind of dribble, like that dribbling pass shot, and it's caught out keepers. He did that twice against Northern Ireland, and you could distinctly hear Gattuso bollocking him for it, right? Yeah. So it's like, so that's not right there. Barella, where's my phone? I had a text message where it was basically, he said, it was a Milanista though. He said, Barella, Bastoni and Di Marco are absolutely dog poo tonight. And I think he is right, by the way. I do think the Inter players did not turn up for the game. So Barella's Barella in that Italy midfield three, unless you get other young Italian midfielders coming through that are going to be deserving of that place, he's always going to have it. So let's just hope on Tuesday night he proves us all wrong. He scores a worldie, sets up another worldie, and we will forgive him until the start of the tournament.
We will never forgive him, but yeah.
Locatelli, for me, was the most tactically astute on the evening.
Yeah, he was good, yeah.
I thought the way where he positioned himself, the way he acted as the central defender, when Bastoni and Calafiori decided that they were going to be, whatever they were going to be, false nines, false tens, with surnames like that, false anythings, it's just they could have been absolutely anything that evening. So Locatelli did a really good tactical job. I agree with you, Max. I will never forgive Furlani for what he did with Tonali. Ever. That game in itself proved everything that we've ever felt about him, right? He was just different level. Di Marco needs to get a grip on whatever Di Marco's doing. Fine. And the whole debate about Kina Retegui, I'm hearing a lot of people, some usual names going, Pio Esposito needs to start. Why? Like, why does he need to start? If he's that kind of secret weapon, that he can come in and disturb defenders for like the last 30 minutes of a game, why would you not have that? Why would you not make it so that it becomes really awkward, so that you've got what is he, 6'4"?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's a big lad, isn't he? So, like, stick him on for the last 30 minutes. Also, the amount of crosses that went to no one. That was the biggest thing for me. It was the amount of crosses that went to no one. He comes on and we stop crossing. Like, it was almost like...
Do you know what it remind you of? What did that first half remind you of? Go on.
Fucker.
That first half reminded me of Milan. It was like watching Milan, literally.
Watching Milan.
Gordomals or passing backwards and forwards, crossing to no one. It was literally...
No, but do you know what it was? Do you know what it genuinely was for me? It was like we were scared. We were scared of the potential outcome, right? Yeah. And I don't know what happened at half-time, because the team that came out in the second half was quicker, was more dynamic, was not always... Like, all we were doing was we'd get the ball would come out from Donnarumma. It'd go to Bastoni. It would either go to Mancini or Calafiori. They'd play it up the wing, and then all of a sudden, there'd be a cross. If you break down the game in its most simplest in the first half, That's all it was. It was up the wing, cross, up the wing, overlap, up the wing, cross, up. And it was like, who has thought about just playing it through the middle of the park? Against, no offence, Northern Ireland, who've got lads who play for Barnsley, right? I've got nothing against. I've got nothing against Barnsley. Alex, Barnsley is like.
I've watched a lot of VFL football, so don't worry. I know just about how shit Barnsley is. Don't worry.
Fair play, but like you're playing for Barnsley, mate. You're not playing for like Champions League football. It's who breaks their leg first, and that's just on a night out. That's not even on a football pitch. So it's like, why couldn't you play it through the middle? So that's Keane Retegui have to start up front. But don't be surprised if all of a sudden you see Pio Esposito with Keane, with Raspadori, coming on. So you do have a number 10 behind him. That's going to be like, look, lads, I'm just going to try and dinking balls through. I'm going to try and do, because when Pio Esposito came on, he held up the ball, and that's what allowed you to play through the middle. Tactically, that's what changed.
Right. So if we move on, obviously, Tonali scored. It was a great goal, thunderous strike. I think he takes the keeper completely off guard with a first-time hit. Wonderful. And like every other Milan fan, I'm literally like crying into my sofa, not understanding why he no longer plays for Milan.
Were you holding a framed picture of him?
Yeah, is that Wolverine,
mate? That Wolverine.
The green one.
But that's just you.
That's just me.
Andrea, Alex, I'm telling you now, like, I swear he carries a picture of him in his passport. Like, just this is who I want to be.
It hurts.
I do the same with Paulo Dybala.
There you go. See, it hurts, doesn't it?
That's me with Dybala. I think I have a photo of Dybala somewhere in my wallet.
There it is.
You should have
a photo of Dybala.
I thought this was going to be the guy for Milan. He'd have the captain armband. He'd never leave. Blah blah blah. No, of course we had to sell him. We sold him to Newcastle. What's he going to do there? Nothing. Like, come on. Anyway, so
hey. Newcastle nightlife is just like Milanese nightlife after 10 pints. So,
I mean, whatever. It upsets me. And then we move on to this next goal, which was Keane. Good finish, really well taken. Just secures the win. It was a bit squeaky at the point, so that was good. Potentially a future Milan player. I think the trigger's too much. There's lots of rumours and stuff, but I think it's going to cost too much. And obviously the result ends up in a 2-0 win for Milan, for Italy. And we advance to the final.
Muscle memory kicked in then, didn't it?
Yeah, that was just normal there. Shit first half, 2 goals in the second half, just about scraped it, was dodgy. Yeah, literally the same.
Literally Milan, yeah, there it is.
Just to sort of show some of the stats and stuff to give a bit more context to the game itself. So it was all Italy. Let's not pretend it wasn't. 14 shots to their 3, 7 shots on target. They had no shots on target. We had 61% possession, 10 fouls to their 7, 1 yellow card to their 0, no red cards, 3 offsides to their 0, and we had 12 corners. So I think if Italy had walked out of this without a 2-0 or higher, I think we could have all felt quite aggrieved. So fair enough. The better team beats the smaller team. The better team comes out and goes into the final like it should. And just before we talk about the next thing, just want to get your take on this. So Scamacca now has miraculously recovered from his injury that took him out of the starting spot. Scamacca in Italy, it's one of those things that it doesn't. I don't know. I don't rate him. I don't know what it is. When he went to West Ham, some of the people that I live around near me, obviously are West Ham fans, they were asking me, and I said, I don't know. He was all right at Sassuolo. It's a small team. I'm not sure what it's going to be like. And I think they started calling him Scrapper by the end of it. So that kind of gives you where they were with it. Obviously goes to Atalanta, does okay, injured. Gets back up, does okay, injured. Andrea and Alex, what are your thoughts on Scamacca? I personally don't rate him. I don't think he's the answer. I think he's just a glorified guy with loads of tattoos. What are you guys thinking?
Well, I said recently, I remember just before the last Euro, Scamacca was one of the top performing strikers in Europe in the last few months. I think only Harry Kane scored more goals than him in the last few months of that season. And then we all saw how he played at the Euros. He was terrible. He's a very up and down player. And yeah, you mentioned Sassuolo. I think back then was probably the peak of his career in his first breakout season next to Raspadori. He was brilliant back then, but then, got the move to West Ham and we all saw how that went. I don't know why he needs to be in this squad when we've got Raspadori, we've got Keane, Retegui, Pio. I don't think there's any room for him in this squad. He's going to be on the bench against Bosnia, apparently. I don't see him coming off the bench at all. I don't see him making any impact if he does. It's a really strange one for me.
He doesn't do anything, does he? I think he scored one goal against England once, I remember, and it was in the Nations League, and we still lost that game.
I think it was the qualifiers for the Euros.
Maybe.
Last Euro.
Maybe, yeah. But I don't rate him. Alex, what do you think?
Look, Scamacca for me has always been one of those big what ifs. A player that, seemingly had that potential when coming through, but, just as he got into his physical prime and once he started getting the big moves, just didn't sort of match it. And to be fair, in defense for him, I will say West Ham misprofiled him horrifically. I think they genuinely expected him to come in and be that typical sort of knockdown Peter Crouch type striker. Scamacca is, on his day, a pretty decent, serviceable hold-up play striker with a bit of technical ability, but he's just not to the level of the national team. Let's not, beat around the bush here. Look, he's rediscovered some of his form, but he's, playing second fiddle to CDK in the Atalanta side right now. Like, let's not pretend like he's had some big resurgence in form. I'm happy to see that he has done okay in Serie A this season, but like Andrea said, you've got Keane, Retegui, Pio Esposito. You've got Raspadori there as well. This is without the likes of Chiesa, Zaccagni in the squad as well. And then even then, you've got players that are emerging throughout Italy that probably will be looking to take his spot very soon. So, look, I personally don't see him starting. I really hope he doesn't start. And I don't really see him coming off the bench unless there is a scenario in which we're looking to sort of hold on to a narrow lead late. I feel like... Look, going into the Bosnia game, I feel like we do need a bit more of a physical presence. That's why I do expect Pio Esposito to start most likely over Retegui. But if it is late on the game, I can see Gattuso chucking on Scamacca, maybe just to hold the ball up a little more. Maybe you chuck on, Giacomo with him and try and sort of have him hold up the play and maybe get your wing backs going a bit forward more. But apart from that role that he's looking to fill, I don't really see what he's going to offer for the national team going forward. Like I said, you've got so many good, young, talented players that are coming through at the moment that are looking to sort of break into this squad. And do I necessarily think that this formation is going to suit some of these really good, young, talented 10s we have coming forward? Probably not. But I'd much rather see a strike partnership of, them and Esposito, them and Ken, them and Retegui over someone like Scamacca, who, for all intents and purposes, it has just become another big lad for us to throw on late in the games. It is sad because I do think he still has a bit of technical ability, but it just doesn't work in this system. Even with all the crosses we put in, it just doesn't work.
Gino?
Agree with all of the above. Don't like him. Next.
So then I thought, why not look at what sort of form? So this is Italy's form in the last 5 games. Apart from that horrendous loss against Norway, which was shocking, it's been pretty easy. 3-1 Estonia, 3-0 Israel, 2-0 Moldova, 4-1 loss against Norway, and then obviously this 2 win. And that leads us into the next game. So we're going to play Bosnia next, and I just thought I'd show the head-to-head overall. So obviously Italy edged the overall quite comfortably in the one-to-ones. Just what are your, guys, what are your thoughts on this game? So I'm genuinely worried, and I have been, because it's Italy and it's a World Cup qualifier, and that in itself stresses me out, right? So the fact that it's Bosnia, it's away. Bosnians, they don't fuck about. Excuse my French. They don't mess about. They are hardline people. For
those who are only listening and not watching, the level of shell shock on all 4 of our faces right now. This is proof of PTSD.
It is, yeah.
So
twice.
I just if anybody has ever doubted if PTSD is a real thing, this right now, we are staring down the barrel of Tuesday night. So, Andrea, Alex, what do you think?
Well, the thing is, though, you failed to qualify for one. Fine, okay, that happens. Italy were going for a bad spell. Ventura was an absolutely useless manager in Serie A, let alone Borussia. I don't know how
before you? Sorry, I need to. Ventura was useless. Is useless. Terrible picture of him with his shirt like nearly open down to his belly button. I remember at the Milan ground that made me vomit my Weetabix for weeks on end. But the strange thing is, he's just done an interview with Gazzetta. Have you seen it?
No.
He talks about the problem with Italian football, and he admits, I was a problem, but we've had 8 managers since 2010. And everybody talks about system. We don't change the system. We just keep changing managers. We don't change the youth system. We don't do anything within the league. Like, he was making some fairly, actually decent points. For as much as I really don't like him, for as much as not sending Buffon to like what would have been like, the 5th World Cup he could have played in. That night, I ended up going to the local pub, a Squaddies pub. Has any of you been to a Squaddies pub?
No.
Just don't do it. It's bad.
He can apportion the blame all he wants, but when you lose 1-0 in 2 games against Sweden, I don't really think.
But he wasn't apportioning. He wasn't apportioning blame. He's saying I made mistakes. I did bad things. But if you look at Italy's football, and people talk, we need to change the system, and then we don't change the system, and we just keep changing managers. There's the problem. Anyway, sorry, back to your point. Sorry.
What I wanted to say was, as Ventura was one thing, Mancini came in, he did exactly what he needed to do, and he won a Euro. Let's not go about the bush. He won a Euro convincingly and well, with a striker who couldn't score in Immobile, and Italy beating England in Wembley on penalties, probably one of the best days of my life, right? To have reached a high like that, it was though, wasn't it? Let's be honest. You growing up in the UK, your sons are immigrants, you know how good it is, okay? Anyway, whatever. So then you reach that high, and then you go, right, surely, World Cup, right, this is it, lovely jubbly, we can't screw this up, we're in a good position. And then Mancini just has brain farts, and he becomes egotistical, and he calls up the exact same players even though they're done and shouldn't be playing anymore. And then we fuck up because Jorginho misses a penalty. And then we get knocked out by Macedonia, of all people. An ex-Palermo player scores the winner. And, you're there like Jesus, like, how has this happened again? And you're almost in shock. Then the next Euros happen, absolutely shambolic. And then you're thrusted into this qualifying thing again. And it just stresses me out. So we talk about PTSD. Of course we have PTSD. What nation goes and wins a fucking Euro and then doesn't qualify for the World Cup and then goes back into a qualifying final? Not many. What are you guys thinking with Bosnia coming up?
Well, I mean, it's easy to look past Bosnia and say they're not as strong as they were. I mean, I looked at the lineup that played against Wales. Dzeko and Kolasinac were the only players that I really knew. Maybe that's my lack of ball knowledge, but I mean, as you can see here, we've never lost to Bosnia, and like I say, yeah, it's easy to look past them because of those things. But I looked past North Macedonia, I looked past Sweden, and we all remember what happened there. So I think something that Italy tend to struggle with are against those sort of physical teams, like you mentioned. Northern Ireland have some big lads. All of these Eastern European teams do as well, like Bosnia. I can see Italy's defence struggling with Dzeko, as old as he is, and playing in the 2nd division in Germany. He did play well against Wales, got an important goal for them, so it is going to be a challenge. It's tough to say. I mean, my friends were asking me, how do you think Italy are going to do against Northern Ireland, and I just didn't have an answer because of the history. I just didn't know what to say, but yeah, got the result there. Bosnia, I mean, we'll talk about the how the players reacted to getting Bosnia over Wales. Wales are the better team on paper out of the two. I would expect Italy to win. I'm confident enough to say that. I think the second half against Northern Ireland gave us a lot of inspiration. I am feeling quite optimistic. Prepared to eat my words on Tuesday, but yeah, I think we will get the win on Tuesday.
Alex, what do you think?
Look, as someone who was so dumbfounded by the Bosnia versus Wales result that I had to actually go back and watch the game straight after the Italy versus Northern Ireland match, I will say that out of the two sides, I was definitely happier facing Bosnia just because I think it matches up a bit nicer. My one concern with this Gattuso side has just been how ineffective we've been defending quick counters. We saw it against Norway when players like Nusa absolutely tore us apart. We saw it against Israel as well. Look, this is an Italy side that has had real troubles in transition. Bosnia are a team that are not going to transition quick, or at least as quick as a side like Wales would with the likes of Brennan Johnson, Harry Wilson, a lot of really good quick players. This is, for me, going to be a big sort of battle of technical ability on the Italian side versus brute force on the Bosnian side. Unfortunately, all the pressure is on Italy. That's just the way it is. We're a side that is facing down the barrel of becoming the first side in history to facing down the barrel of being the first World Cup winning side to not qualify for 3 tournaments in a row. I'm touching wood right now that it doesn't happen, but
you too, Andrea.
Look, I do think we have the advantage here. I think people are scared, and rightfully so. I know what's happened in the past, but we need to put our faith in the boys here. Look, I think we can, honestly, afford to be a bit more experimental with this side, and not experimental as in throwing in Giacomo Raspadori to start the game. I'm not about to make that argument. I don't think anyone should or anyone is about to make that argument. I love the calls for Palestra in the Northern Ireland game. Personally, I was happy with Politano just because of the way that the inside cutting and then balls to the back post worked out. I think this is the game that you start Palestra. He's a taller, better physical presence, much better defensively than Politano. One thing that I really love about him that I don't see a lot with young wingbacks these days is two-footedness when it comes to the byline. Yeah. Lots of players will just get stuck on that byline and just look to whip in crosses. He's confident enough to actually be able to run a defender. I think against a Bosnian side that lacks a bit of that pace, that lacks a bit of sort of that assurity in the defensive third, I think that's going to be absolutely crucial. And look, let's not say that Bosnia, or let's not pretend that Bosnia deserved that result there. I love Bosnia. I love Edin Dzeko. He's one of my favorite players of all time. Growing up as a Man City fan and someone who watched a lot of the Bundesliga, I absolutely adore Edin Dzeko. But that Bosnia performance was terrible. They played for set pieces. To be fair to them, they scrapped it to penalties, which I think was their goal from the off. Wales were terrible in front of goal, were not clinical at all, several chances to win the game, and ultimately they let themselves down. Look, this is something that we've become accustomed to as Italian fans, letting ourselves down when we do get to the big occasion. And if we don't make the World Cup, it will be a case of us letting ourselves down. It will not be a case of Bosnia outplaying us. I don't think that's a possibility. I think we've definitely got the upper hand here in terms of a technical aspect. And look, I am ready to eat my words. I'm absolutely ready to be made a fool of, as I have done in, numerous occasions. I remember when we failed to qualify against North Macedonia, I took 2 days off of school because I couldn't bear going in and getting laughed at by all of my mates in class. This has to be the time we turn it around, because genuinely, if it's not now, then when? If not now, then when are we ever going to qualify for a World Cup ever again?
Spot on. Gino, quick take.
How old are you, Alex?
I'm 22. I'm 22.
Miscano. He hasn't even seen Italy. The World Cup, right? He's gone.
When the last time you think it's bad. The last time Italy were in a World Cup, I believe it would have been 2014. Mm-hmm. No,
2014.
I don't even remember. Yeah, 2014. I would have been 10 years old the last time we were at a World Cup. I'd say our Euros win was probably the best moment of my life. But the last time we were at a World Cup, I was 10 years old.
Yeah,
so
and that World Cup was awful.
I've not got any good memories of seeing Italy at the World Cup. I remember us at that 2014 World Cup getting grouped, and that's about it. We have not won a knockout game since we won the World Cup final in 2006.
You were two.
If not now, then when?
You were two when we won.
Then when? We've got a favorable group if we do get to the World Cup. You've got Switzerland, you've got Canada, and we've got a third team that I don't even remember. This has to be our time to at least get through.
Okay, so before I start, boys, grattiamoci.
We're doing a lot of this.
Yeah, no, we do it. We don't mess. We don't break the code. Okay, so gratiamoci. Everybody's got to do it. Touch a bit of wood or yourself or whatever. Right. I just chat GPT'd, right, the Bosnia team, right? Here we go. This is what I got back. So that's my calendar. Where am I? So we've got the goalkeeper is in Bundesliga Tier 2. You've got the defense, Austrian Bundesliga Tier 1, Swiss Super League Tier 1. Muharemovic, which is Sassuolo Juventus set up Serie A Tier 1. Then you've got Atalanta Kolasinac Tier 1. So apart from the goalkeeper who's playing in the first division, you've got everybody else who's like the top leagues. Midfield, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 1, Tier 1. Bundesliga, Dzeko, who's Schalke, is Tier 2, and you've got the other striker, Tier 1. Overall, player for player, pound for pound, we should. Gratiamoci, we should. However, our PTSD, the fact that Alex was 2 when Italy won the last World Cup, Tuesday's not going to be a nice night for any of us. It just won't be, right? Because it will be like, I can't watch this. Especially if we then see a quick counter-attack. And, there's a miraculous, last-minute challenge, or Donnarumma pulls off a miracle, whatever it is, right? We'll be saying, are we right for this? Are we right? Where's our mentality going to go? Are our heads going to drop? Or, are we going to get nervous? We get nervous, that's the problem, right? So for me, how would I would expect us to try and get a goal quick. I mean, first 15, 20 minutes. Try and settle the nerves. Lots of high pressure, lots of quick, fast, high intensity football. That's where we should be going with it. That's what we should be doing, especially against Bosnia, right? Will we be able to do it? Will nerves get the better of us? I can't. You took 2 days off school. I had text messages literally seconds after the final whistle. I had to switch off my phone for a week. No one could speak to me. No one, oh, you go into the shop for some milk? Yeah, don't even look at me. Literally, it was like that, right? So I do worry about it. We should have the better of them. Gratiamoci, we should have the better of them.
Right.
But I worry.
We've done 52 minutes. We're going to have to move along.
Sorry.
Okay, so look, listen. I just want to talk about Palermo a little bit. So Palermo's last 5 games. I mean, was this like a last-minute winner against Padova off a corner? Did I see that right?
Yeah.
It was a late winner, yeah.
Yeah, and you were 10 men for most of the match. Yeah. Couple of draws in there. That big loss against Monza. I watched your reaction on that. Win against Gararese, and then obviously the Mandova game. So this is the Serie B table. Gents, how are you feeling about this? Are you nervous? Do you think you do it automatically? Do you think you'll have to do it for a playoff? What are you thinking?
Well, recently, it's especially since the loss to Monza, playoffs are looking more likely. I would like to see us at least overtake Frosinone, which we have got an opportunity to do in a few weeks when we play them. It will be difficult as we are playing them away, and we drew 0-0. I think it was our second game of the season against them. Although I would say we were the better team. We've got it's good to see the gap over Catanzaro, even though they do have a game in hand. It looks like we are going to finish top 4, so at least playoff semi-final is what we're looking at. Can we close the gap against Monza? I'm not sure. To get into that automatic promotion spot, they are a very good team, and you can make a case that obviously they finished bottom of Serie A last season. They arguably have a better team this season. I mean, I can see players like Matteo Pessina, who won the Euros, Keita Balde, Dani Motta, I could go on. They have a lot of great players, and their quality was shown in the 2 games they played against us. They score. I mean, they won 3-0 both games. 6 different goal scorers. It's a very good team. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to finish ahead of them. Venezia at the top. They've been incredible. Gone on some very good win streaks this season. Again, another team that was relegated from Serie A last season and arguably has a better team this season. They've got Andrea Adorante, who, aside from Paolo, is the best striker at Serie B. We've got the toughest fixtures as well out of all the teams in the top 4. We have to play Frosinone, as I mentioned, in a few weeks. Venezia away on the last day of the season, so that could be the difference between automatic promotion and playoffs. But even if we do get to play, when we do go to playoffs, it's going to be difficult because if you look at our direct clashes against the top teams, we haven't beaten any of them. We've been very consistent against the lower teams, but against the top 8 teams, I think we've only scored a few goals, maybe achieved about 4 or 5 points against them all season, and that has been the difference. That is why we're here and not in the automatic promotion spots.
Alex, what's your take?
I think that Venezia and Monza are going to finish top 2. That's been my claim for a while now. And to be honest, I think we're about to be set up for one of the biggest possible pieces of football poetry. For anyone who's followed Serie B, they know about the big scandal years ago when Palermo and Frosinone faced each other in the Serie B promotion final. And Frosinone managed to get through after having their substitutes and staff throw balls on the pitch to prevent Palermo counterattacks, which ultimately led to them getting promoted and us essentially going bankrupt because of that and being demoted all the way down to Serie D. I think we will see that as our promotion playoff final, personally. Look, mathematically, automatic promotion is not possible, but with the way that we've been playing, we don't deserve it. I don't want to look, I'd love to see it. I just don't think we will. I know a lot of Palermo fans are choosing to stay optimistic, but we've been spanked by Venezia. We've been spanked by Monza. We've been spanked by Frosinone. You know, we've shown a consistent inability to be able to grab much needed points against sides that we really, really should be beating. Look at the amount of points that we dropped. Look at the loss that we had to Pescara, who are bottom of the Serie B table. It's really sad because this is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities that we've had in recent years to actually get back up to Serie A. And everyone was, sort of saying that we were promotion favorites at the start of the year, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but I thought we had a very good squad. We had Inzaghi, who obviously got promoted with Pisa last season and made the drop back down to sort of get us back up. I have full faith that he'll be able to get us up next season if we don't do it this season, but I just don't know if we have the cojones, for lack of better terms. We haven't seen enough output from, forward players such as Dennis Johnson and Antonio Palumbo. We've been relying way too much on Paolo, and though we've had some really good midfielders, the likes of Segre, the likes of Ranocchia, really good defenders, Barney has been phenomenal this season. I just don't think there's enough attacking output in the squad. Look, maybe we can get lucky in the playoff series. I think we are better than any of the other teams, bar Frosinone. So I think it'll definitely come down to sort of just who's better on the day. Do we go up? Personally, at this stage, I'm saying no, just because of how bad some of our recent performances have been. But I really, really do hope we get to see Palermo in Serie A soon.
Palermo has to be in Serie A. It's a team that should be in Serie A 100%. Absolutely love Palermo. I really hope they do it. Inzaghi's been a specialist in getting teams from Serie B and Serie A. He did it with Pisa, but he also did it with Benevento, didn't he? With I think it was Benevento.
He broke the points record with them as well.
That's it. Yeah. So I really have faith in him. I don't think he would have chosen Palermo unless there was a good sort of project and he could see what was going to happen. To stop, to not go with your promoted team in Serie A and to go into Palermo. I think that says a lot. So I really hope Palermo are in Serie A again. So I don't know what you think, Gino. If there's anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I watched the 2-2 against Avellino because of family. So being involved with that club. So I watched that one live, and that was a pretty tasty one, wasn't it? Right at the end. So no, all the credit. It's sad not seeing Palermo in Serie A, to be honest. I thought that early 2000s era where you were just coming out with player after player after player, it was like, who the hell is this? And how the hell are they doing that? And, just absolute ballers, Lavetti, wasn't it? not Lavetti. What's his name?
Cavani.
Cavani. Sorry, Cavani. Yeah. And, you know, just that kind of football as well. And Grosso played for you, didn't he?
Yeah. The 2006 World Cup team can say thank you to Palermo. I mean, Basagli, Barone, Grosso, Luca Toni. There's loads of them. Absolutely loads of them.
You know, we need to see you back. Yeah, totally need to see you back.
100%. And one of the best transfer market campaign. I don't know how they did it. Every time one would go, one would replace, one would even like Amauri.
Amauri. Yeah.
These players where you were just like, where the fuck are they getting these players from? Milan could barely fucking Olivier.
But who was your sporting director then?
Oh, I don't know who they had.
Your president was
Zamparini?
Yeah.
Zamparini, who
legend,
who has contacts everywhere.
Yeah,
terrible guitarist, but has contacts everywhere.
Zamparini's in that elite of Serie A
mentalists. Yeah,
just nutters.
Yeah.
Sack a coach, rehire him in a week's time. That just absolute.
Did I fire you? Are you sure I fired you? I didn't fire you. That was somebody else.
He loved Delio Rossi. He loved Guidolin, didn't he? Just
him and Guidolin had a. They were like that tight.
Love it. And look, everyone knows mine and Gino's take on Milan, but it'd be great just to have some sort of like, you know, non-biased take. This is the Serie A table now. Me and Gino, we talk about Milan every week. Not everyone knows how we feel about this Serie A, what's going on, where we are in relative to expectation, Allegri, etc. It'd be great, just really quickly, to have a take from you two. What you think about Milan? What do you see from them so far this season?
Go easy, lads.
Well, I can understand the frustrations, obviously, with the 9 draws there, and just about generally the way that you guys play. To be honest, if I was a Milan fan, I would be quite happy with the way that this season's going. You know, just still, there is still a chance for the Scudetto, especially given that Inter had, I think, a 10 or 11 point gap at one point, and recently not been doing so well. So there is a chance, you know, only 6 points away, with 8 games to go. There is a chance that Milan can win the Scudetto. It's a good group of players. Definitely not the strongest Milan that we've seen, but I think there is still a chance for Milan to win the Scudetto. Inter are a very good team. You know, it's gonna be difficult to overtake them. But I think Milan are definitely still in the race. Also, just got to say, big thumbs down for Como being there. No Italian players. And just like to remind everyone that we beat them 3-0 last time we played them. It's like I said, the main thing is Milan are definitely still in the race, and I would definitely still have some hope if I was a Milan fan.
Nice, very optimistic. I wish I could be optimistic like that, but I love it. Alex, what are you thinking?
Just touching on Andrea's point there about not liking Como for the lack of Italians. I do want to say that I've been keeping a very close eye on the relegation race, hoping that Cremonese stays up because of their insistence on actually playing Italians. So fair play to them. Look, I've actually been quite impressed with this Milan side in terms of individual quality. It's not been a great side. I think you've had a lot of problems over the years with finding the right sort of forwards, the right sort of strikers. Santiago Jimenez was, you know, a horrific sort of stinker of a deal. I'm very sort of shocked about how bad he was, considering I watched quite a bit of him when he was playing in the Eredivisie. But look, I think you've become a side that's really, really tough to beat. And I think that's important, especially in Serie A, is that you are tough to beat, because I see it more often than not compared to, you know, the other top 5 leagues, La Liga, Premier League, Liga 1, Bundesliga, that in Serie A, you're going to see a lot more of the sort of bottom sides being able to scrap points off the top sides. And look, I think that it's fair to say Milan's biggest problem is the fact that they haven't been able to turn those 9 draws into more wins. But you've become an incredibly tough side to beat, and I've got to give you credit for that. One of my favorite players in terms of, you know, breakout talents across world football this year, Davide Bartaseghi. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm gutted that he has not been involved in the Italian national team more, and I think that is something that we're going to see. If not at the World Cup, then definitely after the World Cup. He is a future star. Look, I've seen very few 6'4" wing backs, but he somehow makes it work. I don't know. You know, I don't know who was involved in sort of raising this man as a young talent, but he's absolutely phenomenal. Look, I would love to see Milan sort of go back to their roots, find some more of those young Italian talents that are able to sort of come through and really instill that sort of passion and that drive back in the squad. Allegri, I think, is a really good manager to sort of be able to get that aggression back into the side, which is something I think you've lacked recently. Samuele Ricci, I think, is going to be the future of your midfield. I absolutely adore him as a player. I want to see him more involved in the Azzuri going forward, but look, I think there's definitely going to be a challenge there for Milan to go for the Scudetto next season. Do I think you guys win it this year? It's hard to say. It depends on how badly Inter drop off. And to be fair, they haven't been good recently. I think there's definitely a chance. Napoli, I'm surprised how far back they've come up. I thought they were on for having a historically bad defense of the Scudetto, but they've recovered it well. I would like to see either Milan or Napoli win the title over Inter, if I'm being completely honest. But look, it's been a really good Serie A season. It's been good to sort of see Milan become a tough-to-beat side once again. And look, I hope that they have a really good transfer window. I hope that they are able to sort of produce more of these top-tier talents. And I do hope that we're able to see them back where they belong, which for me is being one of the best side, if not the best sides in Italy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but we're concerned, aren't we, Gino? We're concerned. Right. So look, I'm going to move on to Botte and Cannoli. So the first, I've got 3 cannolis. This kit, which is the throwback to the 70s Italian kit, absolute masterpiece by Adidas.
Is this following on from our last time we did Botte and Cannoli and I brought it up?
Yes, yeah. I thought I would bring it all up. I've also got the actual home kit if Italy were in the World Cup, which again is absolutely gorgeous. And I think maybe the best kit, I don't know, but the away kit, absolutely gorgeous kit. If Italy qualify, a lot of money will be leaving my bank account. Let's just put it that way. But these are absolutely sublime. My one Botte, and this is, I think, the last topic we can discuss because we do need to close off, is just this. I think, look, listen, just quickly my take. There's one thing about players behaving in this way. There's one thing about being stupid. Maybe they put a bet on it. Who knows? But for me personally, why is the TV channel showing this? Why is Rai showing this? Turn it off. Shut the fuck up. You're creating a problem that potentially doesn't need to exist. Are players going to celebrate the team they're about to play next? Yes. They do it in the FA Cup. They do it in the Champions League. They do it in any cup competition. It's normal. Of course, in Italy, we have to show it. Then we have to make a big deal of it. Then Gazzetta has to cover it. Then some idiot on TV has to say something stupid about it. And then, obviously, it gives fuel to people. And like I said, Bosnians don't fuck about. This is the sort of stuff they will hang up in their changing room. They will make T-shirts. They will do what they need to do to get themselves through the game. So this annoyed me a lot. And this is why it's probably my biggest Botte of the week. To the guests, what are your takes on this? And then, Gino, if you wrap up with your take, and then we'll finish off with the last few plugs.
Well, I mean, it's if we put ourselves in the shoes of a Bosnian fan, it's very easy to see how they can find this disrespectful and arrogant. As much as teams do this in every competition, it's easy to see how they can be upset by this. That being said, yeah, it's normal. It's normal to do this. And if we look at DiMarco's press conference that he did the other day, just explaining this, he said, you know, he has a really good relationship with Edin Dzeko from their time Inter Milan. You know, he exchanged some text messages with him saying, you know, he respects them and their team, every national team. But this celebration it's less to do with Bosnia and more to do with the fact that Italy haven't been in a World Cup since, as we've established, when Alex was a kid. So it's you know, there's going to be a celebration there. You know, it's been such a long time. There's so many young Italians that have never seen Italy play in a World Cup. You know, I was only 8 years old when Italy won the World Cup, and since then, as we've mentioned, no knockout games. You know, it's more so I think it's more to do with the fact it's more to do with Italy's failures than anything else. It's less to do with Bosnia or any disrespect to them. But at the same time, yeah, I can completely understand why a Bosnian would be upset by this.
Alex, what do you say?
I will just say, Gino, don't worry. Honestly, don't worry about it at all, man. Like, you're not old, I promise you. But look, I think that it's a bit of a non-issue, to be honest. I've seen videos of Slavia Bratislava celebrating getting Real Madrid in their Champions League draw, even though they know they're about to get spanked out of the water. I've seen crap teams celebrate getting, great teams in the draw. I've seen great teams celebrating getting crap teams. It's just something that happens. I think there's a bit of excitement going around the Italy camp, knowing that this is the best chance they're going to have of actually making it to the World Cup. And look, DiMarco said all he needed to say. He's a good personal friend of Edin Dzeko. I'd say a lot of the lads from Inter are good friends with Edin as well. And you look at Kolasinac, another example of a player at Atalanta. He's got teammates in the Azzuri as well. It's a non-issue. And look, I think a lot of this is just the Bosnian media sort of trying to drum up a bit of attention and maybe just a bit of sort of hatred amongst the Bosnian fans to maybe sort of give it back to the Italians in the hopes that they can maybe rattle the team a little. If I were on the Italian team, or if I were sort of overseeing the Italian team or on the management, I'd just say, just ignore the noise. It's nothing new. It's nothing important. You don't have to worry about it. Don't add any extra pressure to yourself to sort of not make yourself look like an idiot after this, because realistically, it's a non-issue. Go out there, play your best game, put on a good performance, make it to the World Cup, and no one's going to remember this at all. But if you go out there and embarrass yourselves like we have done the last 2 times, then you're only going to, ruin your legacy even more with something like this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Gino?
I have never been more pissed off at anything in the last few days than this, and I've had to write something which has kept me awake for the last 4 days. So it's just ridiculous. You said it perfectly, Max. Why is the right camera there? Why is it there? Just why? What are you doing? All right, you've now taken it, so you don't know how this looks. You don't. It's like when the cameraman's doing it. Is he? Lui si sta facendo una grattata. Is he also touching himself when he's doing it? What you doing? You know. It's like what the hell are you doing? So don't do that, number one.
I just had such a bad image in my head when you said that. Not those kinds of things we share. Anyway, so it's like, what is going on? Like, what are you doing that for? Right, fine. But the TV cameras is being on. Then the Bosnian Federation with is that Bosnian football or is that the Bosnian Federation? I think that's the Bosnian football account, like the official one.
Right, so shut up. Like, what's your biggest export? Wood and steel. Like, shut up. Like, what are you, like, you're getting all just like, what? Honestly, like, just shut up. Like, oh, look at this disrespect and arrogance by Italy. Mate, we could do with so many other things. And like, all you're looking at is a picture of Di Marco, just going, yay, because somebody else is clapping. Like, you just shut up. Like, they've wanted to make this media storm, and it's like, really, journalism is at fault here.
Yeah,
because it's not even journalism.
100%, yeah.
Right? Are any of us qualified journalists? Raise your hands if you are.
No.
I am studying journalism, but not yet.
Well, all right, shut up, Alex, right? Shut up, right. Oh, all right, so as the guy studying journalism, what is it you need to establish to have a story?
I think, like I said, this is just, it is
Facts.
slop. It's just crap trying to generate a story.
It's just crap, right? So you've got all of these media accounts. You've got all of these dumb people on TV who aren't journalists. You've got all of these people who are just in all sorts of different fields. Like, honestly, opinions are like arseholes. We don't need to see them all. Seriously. And all you've had is a barrage of just nonsense from people that don't even deserve to have an opinion of just like, this is disrespectful. This is this, this is that. What the hell? No context. No context. No context. They could have been watching anything, by the way. They could have been watching reruns of Starsky and Hutch. Like, I would have cheered at that. I would have. You're in the Flying Tomato. Amazing. By the way, two detectives in like the most non-discreet car. I'm just saying, this is absolute nonsense. And all of a sudden, this is the only thing that's dominated social media and La Gazzetta dello Sport, because they've got to sell papers. They've got to create a store. And actually, what it does is it gives 4 lads on a podcast on a Sunday afternoon, apart from you, Alex, where it's Sunday night, or is it Monday morning now? I don't even know.
He's in the future.
Right? Yeah. And he's in the future. Like, go punch a kangaroo. I don't know. Right? Where we're just basically like,
Fucking hell.
we're just honestly, we've all got PTSD after the last 2 qualifications. And this is what you go and do.
Yeah, this is Italy all over. I think line of the podcast is opinions are like arseholes. We don't need to see them. Brilliant. Okay, guys, look, I'm just going to move on to plug our Substack. I pressed the wrong slide. You throw me out with your...
Sorry.
This is the MLM podcast. You can join it for £3.50 a month, or you become a founding member for £40. Big thank you to Rune, Rajat and Shane, who are our founding members, and Buzz. If you like the MLM podcast and you like our bonus content, we do some free work on there as well. So last couple of posts, this Italy in Crisis, Redemption or Failure. And I'm doing a series at the moment called My Life as a Milanista, and I'm on part 5. So give us a read, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. And then just to finish off with a massive thank you to the boys from Rosanero Network. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, gents, plug away your content and we'll wrap it up there.
So as you can see, scrolling along across the bottom, I'm Rosanero UK. Alex runs Rosanero AUS. And we have the Rosanero Network podcast on YouTube and Spotify. So definitely go and check that out if you want to see more of our ramblings.
Wonderful. Anything from you, Alex?
No, not particularly. Just once again, thank you for having us on. Been a pleasure. And look, hopefully, the next time we all speak, this will be a long gone conclusion that Italy are going to the World Cup. But touch wood once again. I'm not going to get my hopes up too high, but always hoping.
Brilliant. Guys, look, I think like us, you can catch Rosanero on Spotify, on YouTube. I think you've got Instagram, you've got your Twitter accounts. You can catch us on all that as well. Right, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much, guys. Forza Milan, Forza Palermo, and Forza